I just found out that my best friend who is 21 has been sleeping with my dad who is 45 for years, and now my mom and siblings hate me because they think I destroyed our family. It all started when I discovered that my dad had a lot of sketches of my best friend naked. He also had a lot of photos of her. I confronted him and he just told me that he was in love with her but that nothing had ever happened between them. I talked to my friend and she swore to me that she only loved him as a father and that she would never think of him as a man to flirt with, and I believed her because I thought she was in a relationship. I mean, she used to have a boyfriend and then he moved to another country to study, so they had a long-distance relationship, but apparently they broke up a few months after he moved. But she made me believe that they were still together and that they were going to get married when he came back. But I found out that it was all a lie. I went to her apartment and saw that my dad's wallet was on one of the shelves, and I asked her what his wallet was doing there, and she told me that he went there to talk about me. I believed her again, but then I asked her if I could stay in her apartment for the night and she said no. She was extremely nervous telling me no, so when I went home, I sent an Instagram message to her supposed boyfriend and he told me that they broke up years ago and I should know why. He told me he broke up with her because she told him that she slept with my dad and she was no longer a virgin. I was in complete shock. I went to her apartment the next day without telling her and my dad was already there. I told her everything her ex told me and she didn't say a word. She just sat there crying like an idiot, and my dad told me he was sorry but that it just happened and that their marriage broke up when my mom got pregnant with my youngest brother on purpose so that he wouldn't break up with her. But honestly, nothing of anything they've told me matters to me. I feel like a fool. They have been sleeping together for more than 3 years and I was helping them without knowing. She was like a member of the family, and every time she went to my house, I used to tell my dad to drive her to her apartment so that she could arrive safely, and when he took longer than he should, he said that there was a lot of traffic or things like that, and now that I know what they have been doing has made me sick. I feel like everything is my fault, and my whole family thinks it is. My mom doesn't talk to me because she thinks all of this happened because I became friends with her, and I should have realized what was happening. She blames me and I don't feel comfortable at home anymore, and my siblings who are 10 and 8 also hate me because they think I made this mess. And no matter what I say, they think it's all my fault. What should I do, or what should I say? I'm lost. I don't know what else to say for them to forgive me.
Welcome back to Reddit Stories. I've been happily married for 10 years, but my relationship with my in-laws is strained. Here's the thing, they're collectors. They don't just collect mouse figurines, they've given each mouse its own personality, backstory, name, etc. One of them's made of paper mache and they named it Timothy. Where it gets unsettling is that they talk to each other through the mice using mouse voices. This is almost exclusively how they communicate with each other and with me. As bizarre as I find this, I've never said anything about it. Whenever they wave a mouse in my face wanting me to talk to it, I just talk to them. And I've never used a mouse voice myself, even though it visibly annoys them when I don't. Things escalated when I announced that I was pregnant and my father-in-law replied that he was excited to have a second grandchild. I was confused for a second until I realized he was talking about Timothy. I snapped and told him that his papier-mâché mouse is not the same as my baby, and he snapped back that I was disrespecting Timothy. My husband was silent through the whole thing and later on told me he didn't understand why I wouldn't just play along. Welcome back to Reddit Stories. Back when I was a high school teacher, I could honestly say I've never met a kid who wasn't good at something. Bad at math, maybe they're good at art. Bad at grammar, maybe they're good at singing. That was until I came across Kevin. Now Kevin is not his real name, but it wouldn't matter because he couldn't spell it anyway. Let me be very clear, Kevin was a typical average teenager in every way except for the fact that he was a fucking idiot. And when a guidance counselor and I met his parents at a conference, it was clear where that came from. Frankly, I was shocked the whole family hadn't been wiped off the earth years ago. You know how a normal teenage idiot might do something like throw donuts at cop cars? Kevin ate a box of crayons. He was in the 9th grade. Kevin didn't know dogs and cats were different animals. Kevin's family once took him on vacation and forgot their luggage. Kevin tried to download porn on the computer in the library while logged on. Kevin once spit on a girl in his Spanish class and said, "You need to get out of these wet clothes." That girl was the TA. Kevin always had gum in his hair. Kevin's dad kept writing me tuition checks despite the fact that it was a public school and I was the English teacher. Kevin once tased himself in the neck before a football game. Anyway, last I heard he's now married with a job and a kid, so any day I expect to hear he's running for Congress. Welcome back to Reddit Stories. About 18 years ago, my wife and I wanted to adopt a child, and we were paired up with an Asian couple. We assured them the child would be loved, which was the truth because we instantly fell in love with our baby boy. After about 8 months, though, we started to feel twinges of guilt because our perfect Chinese son was going to be raised in this whitewashed household by two ding-dongs who were unable to provide him with any sort of connection to his cultural heritage or identity. There happened to be a large Chinese population in our city, though, so it seemed like a no-brainer for us to expose him as much as we could. We enrolled him in Mandarin classes, and we even developed developed a relationship of sort with a Chinese couple who became his adopted auntie and uncle. We even took family trips to China every couple of years. Flash forward to recently, he's now 17 years old and getting ready to go to college, so my wife and I are helping him fill out the financial aid form. Digging through my office for the needed paperwork, I came across his adoption papers, and it was only then that I saw it. Something so obvious, so painfully brick to the face obvious. Something that neither my wife nor I in the stupidity of our youth had registered. The names on the adoption paperwork were Park and Kim. Our son was Korean.
I was 21 when I found out I was pregnant with twin girls. My sister is 28 and has had 14 miscarriages. She's only had one successful pregnancy, which resulted in my 4-year-old niece. I'm not against having kids, but I definitely wanted to wait until I graduated with my degree and I was married to my significant other. From the start, my mom has been saying I should give my babies to my sister since she deserves them more than I do. And my sister completely agrees. I told them hell no, and my mom calls me a selfish bitch. Throughout my pregnancy, my sister has been begging me to give her at least one baby since I'm having 2. The last time I saw her, we were having lunch and she started babbling about keeping one of my babies, so I paid for my meal and left and haven't seen any of them since then. After I have my girls, I log on to Facebook to hundreds of threatening messages from my family and friends about how I stole my sister's babies and ruined her life. She posted a picture of her nursery that she had for my babies. There's so many posts about how generous I am for going through the pregnancy and giving my sister the babies. She told everyone I was giving her my babies, and she has my pictures of them in the NICU saying how she can't wait to bring them home. My boyfriend and I have been on and off for about 4 years. We've had our share of problems that stem mostly from his parents. He comes from a very upper-class family, and we met when I was just waitressing and he was in college for a high-paying job. 6 months ago, I gave birth to a very much unplanned but beautiful baby girl. Of course, his parents were pissed about this, and from the start of my pregnancy kept trying to say that they didn't think it was my boyfriend's baby. But when our daughter was born, they became amazing grandparents. They always offered to keep her tons when we needed breaks, and it really helped us out, and they would always buy things for her, returning her with new outfits, bottles, toys, and etc. So anyways, a few days ago, my boyfriend came home and he was in a pretty bad mood. He didn't want to tell me, but in the end, he decided it was best if I knew. His parents let it slip that they had taken our daughter to get a DNA test about a month after she was born. Of course, the results came back that my boyfriend was the father, but he was pissed that they would even do something like this without our consent. I was livid. I called his parents and immediately told them that they were cut off. I don't need them or their money, and I'm disgusted that they would stoop so low. They apologized and said they only wanted what was best for their son, and they can't blame me for trying to be good parents.
Welcome back to Reddit Stories. One of my first boyfriends invited me to meet his family for the first time. We seemed to hit it off, and I think, what if I do a comedy bit? Then they'll think I'm funny. We're sitting at the dinner table, and in the distance I see some baked potatoes, and I think, wouldn't it be hilarious if I pretended not to know what a potato was? So they put this thing in front of me, and I put on my best confused face, and I look down at it, and I'm like, interesting, what is it? And they stare at me for a second, and they're like, it's a baked potato? And I'm like, wow, a baked, what do you call it? Mom's like, a potato. And I was like, potato! At this point, Mom and Dad are looking at each other and they're clearly irritated, and 2 thoughts occur to me at the same time. 1, this bit is stupid. And 2, if I confess to this being a joke, I'm gonna look like not only an asshole, but an unfunny asshole. So now I have a decision to make, and I decide to commit to the bit even though all I want to do is crawl into a hole and die. I know that they know I'm lying, and they're both visibly irritated watching me pretend to eat a potato for the first time. Finally, Dad slams his silverware down and he's like, you need to go. And I'm like, you're really overreacting just because I don't know what a potato is.
I'm 28 female, repulsed by my husband, 36 male. I fold the laundry and I've recently noticed an uptick in skid-marked boxers. One pair I could let go. Everyone has had more trust in a fart than it deserved, at least once, but it's becoming a weekly thing. He's also put on quite a bit of weight since marriage, and I realize that's incredibly shallow of me to say. He has always been a bigger guy, but he has increased his mass by 33% and is now edging dangerously close to 400-pound territory. I've told him that his hygiene is slipping a bit. You need to brush your teeth in the morning and scrub with a washcloth. I shouldn't smell any musty cheese when I get down there. He thinks I'm trying to be funny and just joking around. I don't know how to be more blunt. The sheets on the bed look like I snuggle up with a KFC chicken thigh. He got a gaming laptop a while back, and in a typical day, he says 3 words to me and acts annoyed if he has to take off his headphones to hear me. I want a loving, intimate marriage. I feel like a troll that lives on the front porch and only scurries out to cook and do the laundry. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend an apology dinner after my mother-in-law called me a bad mother at my son's funeral? I lost my son to congenital heart disease, and he did not survive the open heart surgery at the age of 1 year and 6 months. Mother-in-law and I were in constant conflict. things always been bad between us, but in those months, we reached our limit. She kept getting involved in my son's treatment and criticized every decision I made, claiming I didn't know how to handle my son's illness. We went low contact, but she kept causing issues occasionally. My husband was torn between our son's illness and his mother's issues. When my son passed away, she came to the funeral and caused a scene by arguing with me, knowing I had no energy for it.
Oh my gosh.
She used the fact that everyone was there so she could say it was my fault my son was born sick and I didn't take care of him properly, and that I was the one who took their grandchild away from